What's up, everyone? Halloween has always held a special place in my heart. Ever since I was a kid, I grew up on all the horror franchises, whether it be Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, even lesser known titles such as The Gate or Clown House. My brother and I used to consume everything, and it was my mom's favorite holiday, so that's why we were really into it. We even read the books from King and Kuntz, and it's something I still do today. So I figured, in honor of it being October, how about we look at some scary or semi-scary games? And the first one I'm going to look into is the Blair Witch that was released this year by Liongate Games. Now, the Blair Witch takes place in Burkittsville, Maryland. Now, if you're not familiar with the story of the Blair Witch Project, it was a film released in 1999, and it was the godfather of all the found footage films. So it was basically made for little money and basically had a great return in theaters. The premise is 3 college students go into the woods to find the mythical Blair Witch of Burkittsville, and they meet townspeople around the town that tell them stories, etc. So long story short, the 3 college students disappear, they find their footage on their camera, and they look at the events. Again, this is low budget, but it made a lot of money and piqued a lot of interest due to the realism that was put around it. As there was a website created, people actually thought these people actually disappeared until they found out they were actors. Same thing with Paranormal Activity, as everybody thought that she was really possessed, etc. So this is actually based 2 years after the events. And I think it's kind of cool because within the game, they actually reference back to those characters, whether it be photos found or actually mentioning them on the radio.
In local news, there is still no sign of the 9-year-old Peter Shannon, who went missing on Saturday afternoon. The missing boy was last seen wearing a green t-shirt and a Baltimore Crows cap. Local authorities are organizing a search party in the Black Hills Forest. This marks the latest in a series of disappearances dating back to 1994, when a group of students ventured into the woods near Burkittsville, never to be seen again.
Now, this story is based around the finding of a 9-year-old kid by the name of Peter Shannon. Your main character's name is Ellis, and his companion is his dog Bullet. Now, Bullet is really crucial to Ellis as far as his gameplay, but we'll get into that later. Ellis suffers from PTSD from the military service he had, as well as repressed memories from his childhood. Bullet himself is actually a rescue dog that was given to Ellis as an emotional support, as Ellis is a sheriff. So as you progress through the story, you will see Ellis' story unfold. Now, I don't want to get too much into detail because this game is very long as far as story and kind of drawn out. It's not as long as to beat it, it's just too much storyline to talk about, and I don't want to sit here for an hour talking about just a storyline. So that's just basically a synopsis of it. Along with Ellis, you have different characters such as the sheriff, which is Ellis' good friend, and his girlfriend Jess, which is his significant other. Now, we actually only see Jess in repressions or flashback memories, but we constantly talk to her on the phone. You also constantly talk to the sheriff via the walkie-talkie. Another character you're going to meet is Carver, which is the psycho within the story, but you'll get to him later as we get through the story. So let's get in how do you play the game as far as gameplay and controls. Now, to be honest, the game controls are a little choppy in my opinion. Use the right joystick to rotate around and view, and the left joystick to move up and down if you're playing on the Xbox. You also can use the left trigger to focus in and the right trigger to interact. As you can see, these little dots are where your interaction points are, and sometimes they're very hard to see within the game, especially in dark areas. You also use the left bumper to call out bullet time or bullets commands. Now, I'll get into a little detail about that, but you can go over to the right bumper, which actually holds most of your equipment. Your backpack, which holds all the stuff you pick up. Your flashlight is also in that wheel, along with your walkie-talkie and your cell phone. Now, the cell phone is very crucial throughout the story, as you'll get messages and calls, and you can make calls to other people. But I think it's kind of cool that they use the old style Nokias from 2001, which is this game is based in. So that was actually a nice little feature or a little throwback. I thought that was kind of cool, as you can read through your text messages, etc. through a cell phone. You can also play games with them, whether it be kind of a Cobra Master or Snake game. That's actually kind of cool, and a shooting game that's kind of cool. So you can actually pull this up on your cell phone and play it while in gameplay, which I think is awesome. As I mentioned earlier, the right bumper pulls up your equipment menu, which has your walkie-talkie, your cell phone, your backpack, and also your flashlight and video camera. Now, the video camera is very crucial to the storyline, as you have certain aspects to look through with it. You can use it for night vision, or you can use it just to look around as far as a light. However, to see enemies, and yes, there are enemies in here, even though that you can't constantly see them, you use your video camera to either view them through night vision mode, or to find certain paths that are left on the ground. As you can see the lights, as it lights up here with the white outline. You also can use your video camera for certain aspects of the story. You're going to need to use it by reviewing tapes. Now, viewing these red tapes are very crucial to how the story plays out. Basically, you have to pause and play these red tapes during the game to open up areas to the game. It basically manipulates the environment. There are also blue tapes which kind of progress you through the storyline, as well as reading material that you can read that progresses you through the storyline as well. But the crucial part of the tape viewing is that you can manipulate the viewing or area by literally playing the tape back and forth and pausing it at a certain area, as doors will open, structures will appear, not fallen, etc. So it's very, very crucial to learn the clues and gameplay of the tapes. Now, you do have a flashlight that can be used as a weapon. It can be used against what I call the treat people, or the shadowy entities that fly around. Now, you will need to use bullet to point them out, and you have to flash with your flashlight to make them disappear. It takes about 4 or 5 flashes to make them each one go away. And if you don't, they'll hit you and you'll eventually die and have to start over in your autosave or your save point. So it's kind of confusing, and with the clunky controls, it's kind of a little hard to get used to. But eventually you get the hang of it. Rounding out our controls, we have bullets controls, which are brought up by the left bumper. Now, holding the left bumper and pressing up on your left stick can make him seek to find things out. You can pet him, you can stay close to him, or tell him to stay close to you. You can tell him to stay, or you can reprimand. Always remember though, everything you do with bullet will actually play into the story and how your ending is. Yes, there are multiple endings in this game, which the developers want you to play back. So it's up to you, but the way you interact with Bullet is very crucial to the story, as he is like your best tool. And like I said, even with the monsters or the entities, he actually points them out. And also, since it's so hard to find things, you can have Bullet seek things out if you're looking for something specific, and he'll bring it to you, or he'll bring you to that area or show you where to go. So it's always handy to use your Bullet commands. As with any survival horror game, you're going to have puzzles, and this game has a decent amount of them. As you can see, you have ones from changing fuse boxes to actually finding areas with locked doors, and they have key codes that you have to figure out. And some of them actually require a second playthrough, so it's up to you to do so. They're not too difficult, but they do take some time for you to figure them out, depending on how you like to brainstorm these. I actually thought it was a nice little feature added into the game, but like I said, most survival horror games do have these features in them. So what are my overall thoughts of the game? To be honest, I thought this game was okay. There weren't too many jump scares, unlike what I showed you in the beginning of the video, and it does have some creepy dialogue and some creepy aspects of the game as far as you hearing voices, etc. But you never really see the Blair Witch, and I guess I was trying to pay homage to the first movie, which you never see her either. She's more of a spirit, which I understand what they're doing, but I think they missed a lot on this game. They could develop the story more. And at times I felt myself basically getting bored playing through the same thing over and over, as they make you repeat certain things as you're in this environment, which kind of got outdated and boring to me. I was more waiting for the next step or the game to be over, to be honest with you. However, I do like the aspect of when you're in the woods, as you do feel disoriented. You actually feel like you're lost when you're looking for things, and their lack of a map actually helps the story, to be honest. So that was a great aspect of the game, but I just wish they gave more to it, and I just feel they didn't do it so with the development of this game. Now, due to those aspects, along with the clunky controls in my opinion, I did not want to play this game again, and there are multiple endings you can get. I thought the visuals were very nice, and like I said, I did love the disorientation in the woods, as you do feel lost, but development of characters wasn't that great. Ellis is actually kind of reminds me of a person with mental issues that, you know, is just kind of an introvert, So they did a great job with him and his relationship with Jess. But the main antagonist, Carver, really isn't explained too much. And I guess they wanted to keep you in the mystery mode with that. But it kind of gets to the point where you're like, okay, well, why doesn't Ellis fight back as when he meets Carver in the first place, etc. So there's a lot of open-ended questions. I just wish they did more with development of the story and added more attributes to the game or progression into the game to where the stories are more developed through missions, etc. I think they just crammed so much into Ellis with his development, which is great, but they kind of left a lot out on the other characters. And I think that's what hurt it, along with the repetitive gameplay. Now, I really can't complain about the price for the game because it was actually free. I actually got it on the Xbox Ultimate Pass. Well, you pay money a month, but it was actually a free game to play, which I thought was pretty cool. So I really shouldn't hate on the developers too much as they are not making that much money off it. But I just thought they could have put more into it. Now, this is not maybe up there with Outlast as a great survival horror game, or Fatal Frame, which is another, but it's something you can check out and have your own opinion of. Like I said, maybe I was judging it a little too harshly, but it's just something I felt while playing the game. And it's also not a long one. It took me about 5 hours to finish it out between breaks. So it's completely up to you to try it out. And if you have the Xbox Pass or Microsoft Windows for your PC, I would recommend checking it out to see how you feel about it. Anyway, as always, thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.